Good morning. Hope everybody's doing good today. It is, I think, a Friday. It all runs together. So, got a couple of little jobs here at the shop to do. One of them is dealing with the dump trailer that we have. We use it, of course, around the farm, but I also use it to haul scrap metal, pick up the metal we're going to use and stuff like that. And so got a couple things we need to fix with it, so let's look at it and we'll move forward from there. So this is the first thing we're going to deal with, and this is the spare tire. We had to get a new tire put on the trailer because it on the tread out here, it had actually started showing wire where the brakes had been locked up and drugged. So we went and got a new tire put on the rim, and now we've got the spare, but I really don't want to leave the spare just laying around the shop. I want to keep it with the trailer. So we're trying to figure out where to put it. Let me show you a couple things. We had thought about building a mount down here and putting it, down here. But the problem with that is to get it out, having to raise the trailer, and if it's got a bunch of stuff in it, that could be difficult. We might be able to lower it out through the bottom, but again, I'd have to get the system to allow it to lower down. So I don't know if that's gonna work. Up here on the front, we've got this rack, and we thought about putting it there, but if we mount it here, we've got to mount it way, up here. It gets in the way of the crank, and it gets in the way of this lid opening and closing. So that's not going to work. We thought about mounting it right here. A couple of things though, that would interfere with the lid on the control box, and if it's there, that's a little more weight that the trailer has to pick up. The last place we thought about was just mounting it right in this area, and there's nothing wrong with that. That would actually work, but again, it's more weight that the machine has, the dump bed has to pick up, and I don't want to lose cargo weight for a spare tire. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to make a bracket that'll come off, sorry about the finger in the screen, come off right in here. And what it's going to do is come out a few inches and then up, and the tire will end up sitting, the center of the hub will end up sitting somewhere right about here when the trailer is, the bed is all the way down. So we'll look for some metal to make that out of. We'll weld that on, and I've got to look at the hub on the other side, and we'll move forward from there. All right, you know what they say, best laid plans of mice and men. So I'm going to show you the good side first, and then I'll show you what I'm dealing with on the other side. We went to change the front tire on the other side. This is a new tire. We've got another new tire for the other side. And I don't know if you can see it, but that bolt right there. So while we were taking the tire off the other side, I noticed that that bolt was missing on the other side. Let me show you. All right, I've got this blown apart right now because I honestly thought that was just a missing bolt, and I was gonna slide a new bolt in and we were gonna move on down the road. But when I got to looking at it, this was hanging out the back. You can see how ate up that bolt is. So evidently the end here sheared off, and it just kept working and working, and that ain't all. So here's the shackle that was in it. And this has been rotated, but this was in line with this gouge right here. So the spacer is to keep from crushing the shackle. It's worn it out. There was a plastic liner which went inside of this. It's worn that out, and then it gouged into the plate, and you can kind of see down in it. And if you look at the other side, it's the same way. And so, and what that did was, if you look up here, you can actually see tire marks there and there. And so, because this dropped, I would say 1 inch to 1.25 inches, it put the axle out of alignment and is evidently rubbing the fender well, because we've looked at the other side and it's not doing it over there. So we've got to fix this. Holy cow. Man, that is a lot of wear. Alright, we're going to start by cleaning all this out where it's flared up here. We'll grind all this out, clean it up, and we'll inside and outside on both flanges. We'll get that cleaned up, and then we're going to try to find a piece of pipe that's the right diameter to slip back through there, and then we'll weld all this up. So let's look at that. All right, y'all, so I've got my piece of cylinder pipe in there, and we've welded this up, ground it down. I'm not as worried about cleaning that area in there because it's not gonna come in contact with anything. We've got both sides cleaned up, and one thing I wanted to make sure of was that this pipe, that sleeve in there was free, and I'm not touching it because it's hot, but you can kind of see it's wiggling. But I wanted this still to be able to spin freely because that's the way the original design was. So we left that in there. Couple of different ways I could have done this. There was room. I could have plated the outside of this to thicken it and drilled the holes through it. I could have welded the entire area up and then re-drilled the holes. Because of time and the fact that it's my trailer, what I did was I cleaned everything up. I slid the pipe down in it, and before I welded, or before I put the pipe in, I sprayed it, not sponsored by this company, but this is what I use on my welding table. I sprayed it with this anti-splatter to try to cut down on the possibility of the weld penetrating the, or sticking to the pipe, and it worked real well. So I put, let me see if I can grab it. I put a piece of brass on the table and set the piece on it. So it was kind of like that with the brass slid up under. I came in and I welded from inside first, and then I flipped it over and I welded the outside, and I made a couple of passes to make sure I was getting good penetration, and then we cleaned everything up. So I think that'll work. If not, I'll fix it later. Don't do like me. Clamp it down. Don't try to hold them. Sorry I didn't film more of this, but that's the tire mount. And all I did, it's 3-inch channel iron. We came out 3 inches. I cut a 45 on it. Came up 14 inches. And then we came out, the top is 2 pieces of 2-inch angle iron that we cut down to make a piece of channel. We've got a piece of 1.5 inches right here for the crossbar. You can see the bolt holes for the lugs to go through. And then we welded in some 1/4 inch gusset plates on each side to help support it. So pretty basic, nothing earth shattering there. Okay, y'all, the tire is on. Did run into one problem I didn't think about when I was putting it on. I wish I'd slid it forward about 3 inches. It cleared when the thing was down, but I forgot about the arc, and so it rubbed. So I've got to drill another hole, and I moved it that way a couple of inches. But now it doesn't rub. This side over here is put back together. You can see the new hardware, the blocks in there, everything looks good. We got to do a road test on it, but let's got it back together.